Well, happy Saturday, folks. It's the real Captain Kirk here. We're live from One Bethlehem Plaza here on the 10th of February, 2024 here. A lot to talk about here today. And again, I'll start off here with Drought. Drought is continuing to make warp speed improvement here. We're now at 41% of the country in dry to drought phases. That's down 19% from last year when it was about 60% of the country in dry to drought phases. So this is a wet period, 8% below average. So we should be drier than this, but it's obviously very wet, at least in 4 years. U.S. winter here is, the big culprit here. We've had the wettest winter in 5 years, second wettest in 39 years. So making a lot of improvement. Even there in Iowa, where it's a little misleading, again, they've been the fifth wettest winter in 39 years. In fact, this next 2 weeks looks to be the second wettest in 39 years. So a lot of improvement across the country here as we look at this very wet, stormy cycle coming to shape here. Real quick recap here of last week, ending here today on the 10th. Here in the U.S., 2.6 warmer than last year, warmest in 25 years, third warmest in 39 years, much above average. Precip, 13% wetter than last year, wettest in 4 years, 18th wettest in 39 years. And snowfall up 129% more than last year. Seventh least in 39 years. That's a little misleading because there's a ton of snow in the western Sierras. But again, where people live, there was more snow, just not very widespread. The other cold spot would be there in China. They were the colder than last year and 14th coldest in 39 years. Typically, when the polar vortex is very strong, it lifts all the cold air to the North Pole, where it usually belongs, and keeping, I guess, just extreme northern Europe, northwest Russia on the cold side. But that's about to change here. Model's been struggling here, the polar vortex. You can see it's losing its symmetrical shape here. And anytime it gets a little ragged like this and wobbly, it allows the cold air to leave the North Pole. So it's just fluctuating here on just how much of a split we're going to get here. But again, it's becoming ragged, so that's the good news. If you want to keep this thing strong, again, winter's over. But obviously we can see here that it's not symmetrical by any means. So again, some good news here again. But models are struggling here with this very fast, wet El Nino type pattern here. So again, models are changing quickly here. Even this week we got a snowstorm here in the Northeast that wasn't even on the picture here this time last week. So again, models will just struggle here for the next couple weeks with this stormy pattern. Here this week, though, just similar to last year, just 0.1 warmer than last year, warmest in 7 years, second warmest in 39 years. Snowfall 16% more than last year, most in 3, 15th least in 39, and rainfall up about 17%, wettest in 3, 8th wettest in 39 years. This time of year, we got to start watching the severe weather threat. So these southeast areas, south central, again, we do believe it's going to be a very active tornado severe weather season here. So it probably will start early too. For sure, March looks to be pretty crazy stormy with severe activity. Again, so this is Valentine's Day. Again, see that snowstorm a little overdone here on this part here. Again, I don't think we're going to get a foot of snow here in the Poconos into southern New England here, but a good 4 to 8, maybe 10-inch type snow event here on Tuesday. We'll look at these snow maps here for the next 6 days. You can see that storm moving out of the Rockies. Actually takes a pretty deep dive down in toward Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, with some accumulating snow. Again, that's kind of a lot here for this late in the season. And then here in the northeast PA near WT360's headquarters, an interior event just north of New York City, maybe just a hair north of Philly. We'll see. There's been a pretty big difference between the Euro solution and the GFS solution, and some of those are quite heavy, 10, 12, 15 plus inch storm here. So it looks like a moderate 4 to 8 inch plus event, even here in our WT360 area here. Again, outward chance here that it's a surprise of 10 to 12. There's a lot of moisture with this storm, and the temperatures are marginally cold enough. So again, this could be a heavy, wet, quick thump snow Tuesday. Looks like a Monday night, Tuesday time frame. So again, northeast, again, finally going to get a snowstorm. And then not much here for the mid Valentine's Day period into Thursday. So the 6-day total overall here is about 71% more than last year, most in 3 years. 12th least in 39 years nationally, but about 55% of the country has at least some snow in the air here for this 6-day period. Looking at next week, again, I would take this with a grain of salt here because, again, I think the models are struggling with the extremely fast stormy cycle here and how these systems will phase. So, again, subject to change, but generally trending 0.4 cooler than last year, 18th warmest, so kind of in the middle of the pack of temperatures. 39% less snow. I'm not buying into that here with this pattern, least in 4 years, 15th least in 39 years, because we look at the precip. 123% wetter than last year, wettest in 5, third wettest in 39. So there's a ton of moisture out there. There is colder air. Polar vortex, again, has been showing signs of being more invasive than what's depicted here. So the models have been waffling here a bit the last week or so. But again, I would take this with a grain of salt. I do think it's a stormy pattern, and the chance for another surprise snow event, even in the Northeast, Midwest, is certainly very possible with this much moisture. We just do a real quick recap here of winter. Winter is December, January, February on the meteorological scale here, but obviously we had a very warm December, and the polar vortex, coldest, snowiest in 30 years, mid-January, then the big warm-up now. And again, these charts are showing the national year-on-year temperature trend, so change versus last year. So not to say it's not going to be above average in some of these areas, but again, a colder 4-week period here coming up into February than last year, and wetter. So colder, wetter definitely increases our chances of snowstorms here. So we do believe it's going to be an active, stormy, potentially snowy end into early, middle March. In fact, the Northeast is even a little bit colder than this into middle March. So again, a 4 or 5 week stretch here where it could get interesting for winter snow enthusiasts. If we look at the world 2-week outlook here, a week ending here the 24th, again, a little misleading because you're taking these extremely warm days like we're having here today where it's near 60 in Pennsylvania, and then we drop down into the 30s with snow. So again, you're mixing a little bit of both. One thing that is definitely happening in a stormy pattern like this is that the nighttime temperatures are definitely up. They're definitely above average because of all the clouds, the storminess. The daytime highs are not as warm as this is depicted here. So this is the combination of high and low temperatures. But again, a little misleading here. So, but the really, really cold air for sure is up there in northern Europe, northwest Russia, most of Siberia, even parts of northeast China, and see that pocket there spilling into the western Canada, northern North America here. So we'll see. That could be a little more widespread than depicted here. This is a combination of rain and snow, and good news here is for Brazil. We do see this is 5-inch plus rainfall totals across Brazil. They've been pockets of dry in Mato Grosso, a key growing region, but this looks to get rather wet here for the next 2 weeks. One thing you'll notice on our website here is, again, we tend to put our year-ahead outlook a couple times a year. So we got our June 2024 forecast, been up there for about 6 months now. So again, it shows the weather trends around the world and the seasonal sales trends. We're going to be updating that here with December. So I thought I'd give you a sneak peek here. Haven't put it up on the website yet, but take you through the weekly trends here in mid-December, week before Christmas. Week of Christmas looks pretty cold in a lot of spots. So this is a wholesale different type pattern. Obviously, we're not going to go from a strong El Nino to a moderate to strong La Nina. And so that's much more favorable for cold. For sure. We'll see about snow, but cold for sure in North America. So have a great week, folks. We'll be here this time next week.